everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Gita Mary and today I am going to be reviewing, rating, talking trash about some of our favorite zero waste swaps. This is a video that's meant to inspire and enlighten and delight and entertain. If you have any of these items that I don't necessarily like, this is not me saying, well, throw them away and start over, fam. This is just my personal opinion, and I am very well aware that behaviors and habits and needs, they change so much depending on the person. So these are just my personal experiences and they don't necessarily have to reflect everyone's. With that being said, I think it's very important to be critical towards new sustainable products always, no matter how good they are. And we need to be able as consumers to reflect and assess whether or not we actually need them or whether or not they just tap into some aesthetic that we really like and thus feel important. I think I'm making this video because it's important to underline that sustainable living doesn't have to include tons of new, modern, trendy, sustainable products. That sustainable living is seriously, it's just using what you already have in new ways, in more ways, in reusable ways. So without further ado, let's get into it. See, I'm thinking I have to divide this video into two parts. So maybe that's what we're gonna do, but we're gonna start with some of the very basics. The first one being the canvas bag. I don't know, I bought a canvas bag as visualization for what I'm talking about. I have so many canvas bags and I think a lot of people can recognize this as well. We just end up accumulating them over time. If you're at an event or at a conference or just anywhere, you will end up having a canvas bag. Any sports event, you will get a canvas bag. And on top of that, you can also buy sustainable canvas bags or canvas bags from zero waste shops. And I think all of those options are really good. But one of the key things when it comes to the canvas bag and any kind of tote, cotton tote specifically, is that we are very aware of how many times we use them. Now, for the longest time, I've actually used canvas bag purchases as souvenirs because then I would gather different kinds of canvas bags from different kinds of places. This one is from Original Unverpackt in Berlin and I love this one. But it's also important to be mindful because we actually have to use the canvas bag many times before its carbon footprint is smaller than that of a plastic bag. Of course, there are tons of issues with using plastic bags like lack of recycling facilities, microplastic and fossil fuels industries, but there are also tons of issues with cotton totes, so we need to be mindful. One of the issues with cotton is that it's the most cultivated non-food crop in the world. It uses an insane amount of land and water to produce, and the cotton industry is actually responsible for the vast majority of pesticides used in non-food crops. A canvas bag has to replace hundreds of plastic bags before its carbon footprint, before its impact is smaller than that of a single plastic bag. So for this reason, with conscious consuming included, I think it's a really good swap. I love my canvas bags. Like, I use them also just, you know, as normal bags because they're so practical. You can have so many things in them and I love them. I use them every day. But if they're unconsciously consumed and used once and then left in the back of the closet, it's super unsustainable and I would give it like a solid 2 out of 10. But if it's a canvas bag that you use for 10 years, it's straight up a 10 out of 10. Does any of this make any sense? I think I need to also describe that I am rating these on a scale from 1 to 10. 1 being the least sustainable and 10 being the most sustainable. I think that was a good thing to add in there. Okay, good job, G. Moving on. Now, I have talked about these boys before and I can keep talking about them. It's fine. I'll just keep doing it because I do actually own a lot of these myself. I've also, once again, accumulated a lot of stuff, and I would also like to add that I end up accumulating a lot of this stuff because I also do this for a living, and sometimes people send me weird PR packages with tons of stuff that I didn't ask for. So sometimes I just end up accumulating a lot of stuff that I try to gift to other people who will use them so they don't just die on my kitchen counter. But the next item that we're going to look at is the bamboo cutlery set. A kapow! The bamboo cutlery set has also very quickly become like a zero waste swap essential. I see them so many places. They even come in this cute little roll up like fabric bag pouch with a little napkin, sometimes a little straw, and then a spoon, a fork and a knife. And these are very practical, very good to have, great with the reusable option. But could you just have used a cutlery set from your kitchen drawers? Absolutely. They don't actually serve a purpose beyond what a normal stainless steel or silver set of cutlery could have served. You don't actually need a different kind of material. For the most part, you can just use what you already have. And I think the cutlery set is a really good example of that. Now, I use my cutlery set at home when I cook because it's very nice with my pots and my pans to use something that's made out of wood or bamboo rather than using something that's made out of silver or stainless steel. But sometimes bamboo cutlery sets are very poorly made. I even have a video about the impact of bamboo. You can see all about the untransparencies of the bamboo industry, but sometimes these cutlery sets, they're treated with different types of chemicals and coatings that makes them really unsafe to use with high temperatures. So using them, for instance, to stir something that's boiling might not be the best idea. And that renders them a little bit unuseful in my opinion, honestly. Again, I used the ones that I already have and I try to re-gift them to other people if I get them. But seriously, if you're looking for a nice, cute takeout picnic cutlery set, just use what you already have. That will be tons more sustainable. Okay, the shade is on. I think I would rate the bamboo cutlery set a 3 out of 10, honestly, because you don't always know if they're safe to use with warmer temperatures. You don't necessarily know how the bamboo is grown, if pesticides have been used, despite that it doesn't really need to. So 3 out of 10. I'm sorry. This is one of my favorite sustainable swaps, but it's also one of the swaps that in my opinion can be the most unsustainable depending on how you do it. I know it's all very complex and nuanced, and that was not what you clicked on this video for, I'm sure, but that's what you're getting. So this is the glass that I am bringing to represent glass, and I love this. This is a thrifted skull mason jar. How amazing and cool is this? I love this. But the next swap is just the mason jar. And all my mason jars are in my freezer and my fridge right now. So that's what we're doing. So I have seen so many stores carrying mason jar pantry collections where you can buy completely identical, cool, neat looking mason jars for your pantry, of cool designer jars that you can use in your pantry, so everything looks identical and neat and organized. And that's not necessarily how I roll. I don't think that's a sustainable way of purchasing things. I don't necessarily think that that's the best way to go about it. Especially not considering that so many thrift stores have so many jars. And if you go to the grocery store to buy, I don't know, jam or peanut butter, pickles, any other thing, you will usually be able to find some of them in glass containers. And you know what? You can use those glass containers and they contain the same exact material as those neat, expensive designer jars. It's the exact same thing, and I'm a little bit over the completely identical pantry vibe because yeah, it looks really cool, but it also puts up this incredibly unrealistic expectation of what zero waste living looks like. It's not always organized and neat, and we don't actually need it to be that. So I think it's a really good idea to use glass, because glass as food storage is perfect. It doesn't leak any chemicals into the food. It can often seal completely shut. I really like using jars, and I use them basically for everything. But I would never go out to a fancy store, even, you know, like a non-fancy store, and buy completely new jars, especially not when there are so many options to reuse and repurpose and upcycle. Using glass jars is definitely a 9 out of 10 for me. The last one because they can be a little fragile, so you can break them. It's very hard to repair glass once it breaks. So that's why it's not getting a 10 out of 10, because we do like to be able to repair stuff. But 9 out of 10 for sure, because glass is very available. It's also infinitely recyclable if you have the option to recycle it. And if you want to know more about glass, I also have an impact video that goes over the whole production impact and usage and disposal impact of glass. So check that out down below. Another zero waste swap that I have been talking about quite a lot these past few weeks is the bamboo toothbrush. I have been talking about toothbrushes and bamboo like there's no tomorrow. I don't know, but like now I dropped it. Just be capable, girl. So the bamboo toothbrush, I think, is a great alternative to the plastic toothbrush, but it's of course not a perfect swap because it's rarely 100% plastic free. The bristles most of the time are actually made from nylon, but generally using a toothbrush that can be upcycled or composted or even recycled rather than something that you just end up throwing out with general waste and into landfill is a really good option. And there are tons of ways where you can upcycle the bamboo handle into soap holders holders, into small garden organizers, and I simply use my toothbrushes once I'm done with them in my art supplies, sort of to make splatters and to paint, and you can use them for other things. And it's a really great way to avoid a lot of plastic, because toothbrushes are usually that type of small plastic item that is rarely recyclable, often never, and that often ends up in the ocean because it's so small, it's very hard to keep track of, etc. So for that reason, I really like there is an option. I think the bamboo toothbrush, because it does have some faults, but it's also really nice, I think it earns it a solid 5 out of 10. Okay, let's talk about something else now. The shampoo bar. This is iconic. Absolutely iconic, and I love to see how it's sort of been implemented into non-eco shops as well. I see them in tons of different stores that just now also carry shampoo bars, and I think that's so nice. The amount of plastic associated with liquid soaps is just absolutely astonishing, and for the most part what we pay for with liquid soaps is actually water. We pay for the water, and you can actually make your own liquid soap from solid soaps. I know. There are so many different types of shampoo bars, and there are some for sensitive skin or sensitive hair, or there are some for dry skin or dry hair. There's so many different kinds, and I know there are some for everyone. So this is just a really great way to avoid a lot of plastic. The second I switched from solid soaps to liquid soaps, my zero waste bathroom routine became so much better, because there's just so much waste connected to liquid soaps, and it's not only shampoo, it's also hand soaps, body soaps, all that kind of stuff. Solid though, solid. I love this. I'm gonna give this a solid 10 out of 10. Now, this was also recently mentioned in my ultimate zero waste laundry guide, but we're going to talk about it again because I do definitely see this as a zero waste swap, and it is the Microfiltration bag. Mine is a little roughed up. This is a bit old. I've had this for 4 years, I think, at this point. It's not an absolute perfect solution because there's still microplastic released, but it definitely minimizes the amount, and you are able to see it inside the bag and then dispose of it in a way where it doesn't infiltrate our water systems. That's so nice. So what you do is that you take all your synthetic clothing that normally releases microplastic, you put it into this bag, and you put the entire bag into your washing machine, and then you wash your clothes like you normally would. You take it out of the bag, you hang it to dry. Using a dryer might be a bit unsustainable, so hang it to air dry if possible. It's the best thing ever. And then you can find the small microplastic bits in the bag, and you can dispose of them in a way perhaps similar to how we dispose of bristles from the bamboo toothbrushes, by pulling them out and putting them into like a sealed little container that you're perhaps going to throw away anyway, sort of making sure that everything stays in place and nothing ends up in the air, in nature, in our water systems, etc. It's not perfect because there is, still some type of waste, but I wouldn't recommend people, when they're going sustainable, just ditching all their synthetic underwear, for instance, all the synthetic clothes in general, to buy new. Not really the point of what we're doing. So instead, trying to find a way to minimize the impact and minimize the harm that clothes is doing is a really good idea. But again, it's not absolutely perfect. I don't assume that 100% of all the microplastic is filtrated by this bag, but I definitely think this bag makes some kind of difference. I'm going to give this a 5 out of 10. I don't know if my rating system helps anyone whatsoever. Okay, let us see. Okay, this is a very topical zero waste swap, and I am of course talking about the reusable face mask. I see many different firms, companies and brands making reusable face masks. These are from Marla Clothing. I love this to bits, and Marla Clothing is a great ethical brand based in Copenhagen, and most of this stuff is made from scrap and waste fabric from her own production, which is even cooler. Just FYI, I got these as a gift. Yeehaw. What I do with reusable masks is that I either wash them, like normally you would, but from day to day I also boil them on my kitchen counter, and then I hang them to dry, so they're always sterile. If you don't have access to reusable masks and you only have the option to choose disposable masks, I wouldn't recommend refraining from wearing masks whatsoever. Take care of you, take care of others, it's super duper important. during the beginning of the pandemic, before I had my reusable masks, I also wore disposable masks because we do need to take good care of each other. I think I'm going to give the reusable masks a solid 8 out of 10. And the only reason why it doesn't get a 10 out of 10 is because there is, of course, huge quality differences between them. Some might be safer than others, and I think it's really important to make sure that it has the proper protection level. So yeah, some masks don't have that, and it's important to make sure that it does, and that can be a little bit difficult. So for that, 8 out of 10, but for this one specifically and for the ones that I use personally, 10 out of 10. They're super great. Okay, so this next one is kind of similar to the bamboo cutlery sets, but we're going to talk about it anyway, and it is reusable chopsticks. Alrighty, I have had these for a long time. These were a Christmas gift like way back, I think 5 years ago, and I love these to bits. But if you're looking for a reusable chopstick alternative, just using again what is already available to you is so much better than going out and buying a fancy pair of chopsticks. And it's so easy to get your hands on wooden chopsticks. Just wash them and reuse them. They're often free, and it's a much better sustainable alternative than going out and buying stainless steel chopsticks. We really don't actually need those. They might look great, yeah, but this honestly can be way more sustainable. Just reuse them over and over again. It's fine. Stainless steel chopsticks, like a 2 out of 10, honestly. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you liked it. If you did, you can leave me a comment down below and perhaps tell me other types of zero waste swaps that you would like for me to review or rate, or just give my completely unsolicited opinion about. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're going to take really good care of yourselves. Until next time. Bye! Thank you so much for watching this video, and also a special thank you to my Patreon supporters. You guys help me create green zero waste content, and I love you guys. You can find the links to my social media accounts down below and the link to my Patreon on this screen. Bye!